Welcome to the CDA Institute's Expert Series. I'm your host, Josh Malm, and today I'll be speaking with Nicholas Coghlan. Nicholas served as Canada's first resident diplomat in Khartoum, Sudan, from 2000 to 2003. He was also the first resident Canadian ambassador in Juba, the capital of the newly independent South Sudan. We spoke about his experiences in Sudan and South Sudan, the recent coup and reinstallation of the Sudanese Prime Minister, what Canada can take away from its engagement with Sudan, and the state of democracy in the region. Here is an excerpt from our discussion. Why did the al-Bashir government and the preceding civil-military power sharing arrangement break down?
By 2018, which is when everything started to fall apart, President Bashir and the supporting National Congress Party, which is an Islamist party, had been in power for nearly 30 years. The economy was going very badly. Mismanagement, sanctions, a whole range of reasons. And like many of the movements in the Arab Spring 10 or 12 years ago, popular discontent over food prices, and particularly the price of bread, you started to get demonstrations against the government, and those gradually transformed into broader political demonstrations, not just complaining about the economy and the price of bread, but basically a protest at the government in general. So that we had mass mobilization starting almost exactly 3 years ago, December 2018, trade unions leading them, massive crowds on the streets of Khartoum and other cities. So it became a protest movement. And by the time we got to early 2019, army officers then basically made the decision that Bashir and his immediate clique had to go. So it was an internal coup. In other words, the army removed a fellow general. I mean, Bashir was also a general. They considered he had become a liability and his immediate clique had become a liability. So this wasn't exactly what the protesters wanted. I mean, it was removal of Bashir. The protesters wanted civilian rule. So we had a half measure. We had the military taking over, but now you had a joint government, what was called a sovereign council, which was 50% civilian and 50% military, headed by a military man, though, as de facto president, and a civilian prime minister. Okay, that was widely welcomed by the international community, and a timetable was set for transition to full civilian rule. So in the meantime, you now have the government tries to improve the economy, but the civilian half is trying to get the military disentangled from the economy. The military have their fingers all over the economic levers, controlling industry, and millions stashed away. So you really have a fight starts between the civilian half of the government and the military, with the civilians trying to really push the military to one side. The military are also concerned, this is not stated, but it's clearly concerned, they are concerned about the prospect of trials for human rights abuses, accountability. Bashir is already up for the International Criminal Court, they know that, and they fear that they will be dragged away as well. So you have rising tension, which culminated in October this year, October the 25th. The military part of the council decides we've had enough. We're going to have what they call a rectification of the revolution. In other words, really the military seizing hold of the government again. Prime Minister is locked up, along with most of the ministers. And then we're back to massive mobilization on the streets again. Hundreds of thousands, millions of people out, saying we've absolutely had enough with the military. We want full-scale civilian government, and we want it now.